We are living in a new world order where the things that worked 20 years ago, a century ago, are no longer relevant. As technology picks up pace, so does the level of change in our society. And with each passing day, it gets more and more overwhelming. And that begs the question, in this fast changing world, how can we ever grab opportunities and find something that makes us successful? Well, for that, we need to have a new perspective because the way we grab and capture opportunities has also changed with the world. And today, I'm going to introduce you to 5 simple steps that will prepare you for grabbing opportunities and making the best of them and succeeding in this new world order, no matter how crazy the change gets. So let's get started. First of all, let us understand what has changed in the world of opportunity. Because earlier on, we used to hear these quotes, right? Prepare, wait, and the right opportunity will come to you. Well, not anymore. Because today, opportunities position themselves on a first taker basis. Instead of being there and waiting for you, they just go to the person who's the first one to take action. And to be the first one to take action, you need to be able to deal with uncertainty, with confusion, and with lack of clarity surrounding the opportunity. Because today, you have one advantage over people 100 years ago, and that is the information advantage. Back then, the only people who could access opportunities were those who had the information, and information was really hard to obtain. There was no internet, there was no abundance of it, but today it's different. Today, we can find information in a click of a button. So the key to grabbing the right opportunities is no longer information because everyone has it. The key is courage, and today we are going to look at how we can build that courage, starting with 2 fundamentals of finding opportunities. The first fundamental, as you can see here, is conviction, and the second is action. By conviction, I mean the belief you have in yourself. Because after all, when things are uncertain, the only person who can take action is you. And for you to be able to take action, you need to have belief inside your head that you can do it. Now, ask someone who has never baked a pizza before to bake a pizza, and of course, they'd be unconfident. They wouldn't know what to do. But that's exactly how things work in today's world. To grab the right opportunities, you'll have to do the things you've never done before. And for that, you don't need to have confidence and belief in your ability to do it, but you need to have confidence and belief in your ability to figure things out. And this ability to figure out comes only when you are connected with yourself and only when you know in your heart that you have empowering beliefs to power you. And so this is the first part, conviction. And after that, we'll move on to understanding action. Because if you don't take action, if you don't do anything, then that conviction is not worth it. Let us begin by understanding how we can build this belief, build this ability to figure out, and use this conviction to power our actions and to actually grow in the opportunities that we find. Let us begin by understanding step 1, what limits you. Think about it. There's so many thoughts that you have in a day. Some researchers say that you have 60,000 thoughts in a single day. That's right, 60,000. Now, of course, you can't be in control of each one, right? You can't even be conscious of each one, because if you were, you wouldn't have time to do anything else. And so the subconscious thoughts, the thoughts that you don't actually pay attention to, are the ones that define the way you think. And because they define the way you think, they eventually decide the kind of actions you take. And if that tape is going on inside your head and it's saying to you, you're not worth it, you're confused, you're lonely, all of that stuff, then that is going to be harmful. So the first step is understanding what limits you. And for that, I want you to do a simple audit of your mind. Go back and try to think about the things you believe about yourself. What you have to do is write here, I am, and following that, a few dots. So keep writing this, I am, and ahead of this, Write the words that come to you. Don't think about them, just write them, because that is your subconscious speaking, the beliefs that you have inside your head. Don't judge them for whether they're right or wrong, just write them down. And once you're done with that, this can be a big list. I am confident, you might think, or I'm a loser, you might think. I am unloving, I am uncaring, I don't have friends, I'm lonely, I'm sad, whatever it is. Just write it down. We're figuring out what limits you so that you can actually learn to grab opportunities later on. So once you're done with this list, it's time to move on to the second step, and that is understanding what empowers. Now, this is the most important step, because when it comes to changing your beliefs, the most important step is reframing. After all, everything that we have inside our heads is a perspective, is the way we look at the world, is the way we look at ourselves. And as always, there are two ways to look at anything. You can either choose to see the light, or you can choose to see the darkness. And if you are someone who wants to empower themselves, if you are someone who really wants to make it big, you'll have to choose to see the light, no matter how hard it feels, no matter how small it is, and no matter how feeble it is as well. Because if there is light, there is hope. And to build that sense, you need to change the perspective from which you look at things. And to change your perspective is really simple. Change your simple thoughts like, I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm unworthy, I'm unconfident, to the opposite. And that is the first step in reframing, and that is change the context. So you have to change the context in which your mind looks at these things. And here's what I mean by this. If you say to yourself, I am unconfident, I want you to come up with an example or a point from your life, no matter how silly, no matter how small, that actually shows that you were confident or something. Because your mind doesn't just believe random affirmations, it needs proof to understand that, okay, what this person is saying makes sense. I can believe this. It's fine. Because he has proof to back it up. So you have to build that proof first. So when you think, I am unconfident, look for the proof. And the best kind of proof is equal to a story. So go back and find one story that empowers you. And do this for every single limiting belief that you wrote. And along with that, when you're doing it, write down empowering beliefs. Ideas that push you to take actions. Ideas that make you think, yes, I can do this. Ideas that push you forward. So you have to think about that, and it can be a bit confusing at first, but it's fine. What matters is building the right kind of mindset. And you don't have to figure all of this out at once. Take it step by step. Maybe, if you don't have the time, start with just one belief, but reframe it right now, reframe it today, so that you can start to see how this effect plays on. And I know you might be asking, well, this is fine, but how does this affect me in finding opportunities? Well, here's how. So say you don't have these empowering beliefs. All you have in your mind is a limiting tape, something that says, you're not worthy, you're not this, you're not that, and you can't really take any action. So when you're in that kind of a state of mind, and even when you find an opportunity, what will you do? Will you take action, or will you just stop and let the thoughts win inside your head? Of course, the second thing will happen. You'll come up with excuses, you'll come up with doubts, you'll come up with loopholes and problems in that specific scenario. And as you'll wait, the opportunity will pass you by. You might have the next Facebook in your hands, you might have the next billion-dollar company idea in your hands, but ideas are worthless without execution. Remember that. Ideas are worthless without execution. And the only way you can execute well is to build your ability to figure things out. And the only way to build that ability is to change the tape inside your head to a tape that empowers you, to ideas that push you forward. And so this is why it is very, very important. Without the conviction, there can be no action. And doing this exercise builds up the conviction that takes you to the other side. And with this, we move on to the third step, and that is opportunity loops. Now, this is a very interesting concept. I was reading about how we find opportunities today, and how there are just so many things to do and that we can't even figure out what to do. And well, that's when I thought of this, that a lot of times we are running in a loop. So imagine there's this circle and this is the loop. And in between the circle, this is you. Now, this is the empowering version of you, the powerful version. And when you're in this state, right, you'll be aware. You look at your surroundings, you'll be in alignment with yourself and whatever work that you're doing, whether you're a student, whether you're in your job, or whether you're building your own business, you'll start to see tiny flickers of opportunities around you. Once you frame your mind to look at things from a problem solving perspective, you'll see, okay, this is a problem I can solve. As a student, you might find a problem, and that is people don't have buddies to study with. They don't find that sense of community. And you think, maybe I should build something around that. If you're working in your job, you might notice a similar problem there. People lack accountability. Can I solve that? Can I build a solution around that? And so just like that, you'll find many opportunities around you. And they'll be like this, representing one to many paths around you. So as you can see, all of these lines here represent the paths you can take. But which one do you choose, right? Because what happens is, you have that empowering version of yourself, but there are way too many choices to make. You have option 1, you have option 100, you have option 1000. And if you just keep exploring opportunities, you'll be stuck in this loop forever. You might think you're making progress because you're exploring idea 1, idea 2, all of these ideas. But do those ideas really matter if you're not executing on them? No, right? And that is why it is important to understand whether you're in an opportunity loop or not. Because it's one thing to have a lot of opportunities, it's another thing to actually act on them. And for that, there's a very simple 2 questions that I want you to ask. And the first question is, what tangible actions am I taking? Right? Because intangible actions are pretty simple. Ideation, brainstorming, all of that is intangible. It's like air inside your head. But to put that air into use, you have to concentrate it and you have to bring the particles close enough to turn that air into a solid. And for that, you need tangible actions. So you have to ask yourself, even if I spotted all of these opportunities, what tangible actions did I take this week? How did I try to, learn about an opportunity? Did I do some research? Did I read up some articles? Did I study? Or did I talk to some people who can help me understand this better? The more you can come up with tangible actions like this, the better. And that will also give you a roadmap of how you should proceed. And now that you're done with this, ask yourself the second question. What did I get done in the last week? What did I get done in the last week? And there's a very simple reason why this matters. Because if we are thinking in terms of just one day, it's too small of a time frame. We can't do a lot of things in one day. But then if we look at things from a monthly or yearly perspective, that's way too broad and way too long, and we can't actually track our progress there. And the best tool, the best way we can plan in an efficient way is to plan out a week where we have specific priorities and then we are acting on them on a day-to-day basis. We're not doing everything every day, but we're doing a few important things in a single day. And so just like that, you have to ask yourself, over the last week, what are some major things that I got done? What goals did I take action on? What problems did I solve? And by the way, if you're confused about how to set your goals or how to, make an action plan that works, I made a video just like this a month ago, and you can go check it out here after this one. That will really help you out a lot as well. And so coming back from that, let us understand that when you ask this question, what did I get done last week? You do 2 things. 1, you track your progress. And second, you figure out whether it's actually leading you somewhere or not. Now, there are 2 things that can happen. One is you can either just be, exploring opportunities, and that's fine as well. But along with that, you need to make sure that in the future, you take proper action on them. And that brings us to step 4, that is breaking out of loops. And so here you have that loop. You have 1,000 different opportunities, let's say, in front of you, many different ideas. What do you do? Well, I know you might expect me to give you a big list of self-reflection questions, but that's not what I'm going to do here. The idea is actually pretty simple. Just pick up one thing and get started. Let's say you pick up this opportunity, and that one thing for you is building an internet startup. Let's say you have an idea and you think, I'll build a startup on the internet. And what that does is it does two very important things. One, it gives you a clear goal, what you want to experiment with. And two, it gets you out of that loop, because now you're just not just thinking about ideas. What you're thinking about is how you can actually take action on some of these things. And that is the most important thing. Now, this might not be your passion, this might not be your purpose, but the only way to figure out if something is your passion or your purpose is to actually try things out. And I'm a big advocate of that. You will not find your purpose sitting in your bedroom, reflecting on your life. You will find it when you actually go out there, do some things, experiment, and say, okay, fine, yeah, this feels very meaningful to me. And the only way to get there is to break out of this loop and take action on one thing. You may do it part-time, you may do it along with your studies, along with your job, that's fine. But pick up this one opportunity that really excites you, that makes your heart think, yes, this is something I want to do. This is something that sounds really, really interesting. Pick up that one thing and ask yourself the very important question now. What is my end goal here? Because you see, even if you're just experimenting, you need to understand where this will lead to. Try to envision it into the future. If your idea is building an internet company, think about what problem are you solving? What kind of customers are you going to? How will they like this? And at the end of the day, what is your ultimate goal with doing this, with exploring this opportunity? Is it a gap that you have found in the market? All of these questions will get you started on thinking about the end goal. And this is where the self-reflection and the brainstorming comes. Not before you have identified an opportunity, but afterwards. And when you're done with this, when you have a very basic plan sorted out, it's very important to go to the next step and follow through with it, which is also the final step. And that is instant action. And here, the most important thing happens. Because all those plans, all those ideas can sound wonderful, but if they don't get acted upon, again, they are worthless. And so you have to ask yourself two things here. What is the number one thing I can do to get started? The number one thing to get started. And the other thing is my plan for the next week. Very simple. You have to make the plan for next week. My plan for next week. And what this will do is two things. One, it will get you started instantly. The first question, something you can do right now, that is maybe reading a book, exploring an opportunity. And the second step will do another important thing, and that is give you a broader horizon. And there's a simple way to think about this. And for that, it is for your next week plan, you have to think about one, your priorities. What are the important things to you that you want to do? The second thing you need to think about are your duties or the compulsory things you want to do. And the third thing you need to think about is your education and learning. Now I'll explain each of these points to you very simply. By priorities, I mean the things that are important to you and the things that you need to do. If you're working, you need to figure out your top priorities at work, put them there. As you're exploring a new opportunity for yourself, you have to also put that here, okay, this is my priority, and block a day, block some after work hours and all of that for it so that you can actually take action on it. Now the second step is your duties. You see, we're all adults. So all of us have responsibilities that we need to deal with. And if we live in a fairy tale land that says, be your best self, go out there, let go of everything, that does not work, right? Because at the end of the day, when we come back home, there are responsibilities that we need to deal with. We cannot ignore those things. And even though they may not sound very passionate or happy or exciting to you, you still need to do them. Like you still need to do your chores. You still need to clean up the house. And for that, you need to make out time as well. Because if you don't, it will eat into the time you've decided for your other priorities. So for your next week's plan, include that as well. What are the duties you want to do? And the third most important thing is the education and learning that you're going to do. And by this, I don't mean going to a school or going to a university. This is learning and education that you do on your own. And here, two important things matter. The first one is the things you need to learn to improve yourself, to improve your efficiency and your growth. The ideas, maybe there's a book that you want to read that will help you manage your time better. Block it out here. And the second thing you need to do in education is learning about your field, learning about the opportunity you're exploring and becoming a master at that kind of work. Explore it, learn it, be a student and give it your all. Don't just do it like someone who's, excited about it, but not dedicated. Instead, spend time in learning and understand the inside out of that opportunity. Maybe in this learning process itself, you'll understand whether or not this opportunity matters to you or it doesn't. And that, my friends, is very simple way in which you can not only build your conviction, but also take action to make the best of opportunities in this new world order. Because when you come across one, it won't be clear, it will be fuzzy, it will be doubtful, and you will have to take some actions that sound a bit crazy to other people. But when you're connected with yourself, when you have that conviction in your heart, you'll know that these actions make sense in the long term, and that will be your most powerful tool. Work on these steps and let me know in the comments how this works out for you. What are the things you're excited about? And if there's any help you need from me, I'd be excited to help you. I'm always here. And know that I've also made a resource for you in which you'll find a ready to go worksheet that will help you reflect a bit on this and figuring out the things that you want to do. Till then, keep exploring, keep learning, and I'm always here rooting for you. Thank you.